thank Dr. Rosenquist and Barnes and the membership. Sort of like a singer, huh? You gotta almost kiss this singer. I want to thank Drs. Rosenquist and Barnes and the membership for allowing me to speak to you today. I want to make a couple of disclaimers right off the top. Well, one other correction. I wasn't in Syria, I was in Saudi Arabia, but they're close together. I'm not a Mid-East expert, and I'm not an Islamic scholar. So if I make an egregious error in my presentation, and some of you have better information, bring it up in the question and answer period, and we can all learn something. I haven't spoken about my time in Arabia because I didn't think many people would be very interested. But with the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and the trouble in Pakistan and so forth, more people are interested in something about the Muslim countries than ever before. So what I plan to do in this talk is to tell you a little bit about the modern history of Saudi Arabia, and then some of the personal experiences I had in practicing medicine at the King Fahd National Guard Hospital in Riyadh, which is the capital of Saudi Arabia. How about the history of the country? In 1902, a young 22-year-old man named Abdul Aziz of the family of Saud rode out of exile in Kuwait with a small band of followers, friends, family, and religious supporters, and he went to the city of Riyadh, which was quite small at the time. He ambushed the governor, killed him, and took over the city, the administrative control of the city. Using Riyadh as a base, he then marched to the smaller communities in the area, mostly huddled around an oasis, and he swore them all to the Islamic religion. And he warned them that if when he left, they did not continue to follow the Islamic religion, and they fell back into their ways of idols and other worships, he would return and wipe them out. So he left a small contingent of supporters behind, recruited a few more people to his army, and went to the surrounding communities one after another. And before long, he controlled the high central plateau of the Arabian Peninsula. Over the next 2 decades, with some financial help from England, from the British, and some military equipment from them, he gradually developed an army large enough to conquer the cities to the east along the Persian Gulf, although the Arabians call it the Arabian Gulf. We mostly know it as the Persian Gulf. And he subsequently was able to take over the control of the cities along in the west, along the Red Sea, Mecca, Medina, Jeddah, and so forth. And in 1932, not all that long ago, he was able to have enough support, have an army strong enough to suppress any opposition, and enough support in the metropolitan areas of the country to pull the country under a single control. And he named the country, or he proclaimed the country to be a kingdom, and Abdul Aziz made himself as the king. And he named the country after his family name, Saud. So now we have, in 1932, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Now, the king, it's good to be the king in a kingdom, I can tell you that, but the king could do nothing, make no rules, no laws or anything that did not conform to the tenets of the Islamic religion. They have very deep roots with the Islamic control. A lot of evidence is for this. Look at the flag of Saudi Arabia. First of all, it's green. Why is it green? Because Muhammad in the 7th century, when he founded Islam, his banner was green. So green is the color of the Islamic religion. The flag, if you might remember, has a Arabic script written in the middle of it and occupying about half of the flag. And that's the creed of Islam. It says, basically in Arabic, there is but one God, Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of God. Below the script, the creed, is a sword to remind one and all that the creed of the Islamic religion is supported by the authority and power of the government. Now, I mentioned Muhammad. We need to look a little bit about the Islamic religion. It is said that in the cities of Mecca and Medina in the 7th century, the Prophet Muhammad was said to receive messages from God through the angel Gabriel. He received these messages over a 23-year period of time until his death in 632. These messages were often written down at the time, but every one of them were committed to memory by his followers, verbatim to memory. After his death in 632, all these messages were written down and ultimately collected in the book that we know as the Quran. The Quran stands as the teaching and for the individual Muslim. He follows the commands of the Quran explicitly. He includes them in his prayers. And you know, they pray 5 times a day, every day. And it's not a short prayer. It's a 10, 20-minute prayer with all the bowing and so forth. They face Mecca, of course. The government uses the Quran in their public policy. The Quran is basically the constitution of Saudi Arabia. The law of the land is the Sharia law.